Beneath the dazzling galleries of the Louvre lies a story of stone walls that once caged traitors, political prisoners, and exiled nobles. Built in 1190 to defend Paris, this fortress's darkest secrets endure in the dungeon cells carved deep in its foundation. Cells that held captives for decades, even as royalty feasted above. Why did a sanctuary of art begin with chains and agonizing fate? The answer is hidden in the stones themselves. Stone by stone, the fortress rose along the Seine, its purpose unmistakable. In 1190, King Philip II ordered a stronghold that would shield Paris from invaders, Norman raiders, English armies, threats that had haunted the city for generations. The chosen site was a limestone ridge, a natural bulwark on the western edge of medieval Paris. Builders quarried local stone, stacking blocks into a quadrangle measuring 78 by 72 meters. 10 towers anchored the corners and walls, each one watching over a bend in the river where enemy ships might appear without warning. Beyond the walls, 2 moats traced the perimeter. The first, dry and deep, 9 meters wide, 6 meters down, was a gaping wound in the earth, meant to trap siege ladders and sapper tunnels. The second moat filled with water from the Seine, a living barrier that mirrored the sky and hid the fortress's true scale beneath its surface. Crossing these defenses meant braving drawbridges and iron-studded gates, always under the gaze of archers posted high in the towers. At the center, the gross tor dominated the skyline. This cylindrical keep measured 15 meters in diameter, its base walls 18 meters thick. Rising 30 meters, capped with a conical roof, it served as the king's last refuge, a place where the treasury could be locked away, where the crown's secrets could survive even if the city fell. Within its walls, a chapel and a deep well offered hope of endurance during siege. Every detail spoke of urgency and dread. The fortress was not built for comfort, but for survival. Today, visitors walk above these same stones, unaware that beneath their feet, the original foundations still hold the memory of a city under threat. The fortress endures, its cold geometry a silent witness to the fears and ambitions that shaped medieval Paris. Beneath the weight of ancient stone, darkness pressed in from every side. The lower chambers of the Louvre, carved deep into the limestone, became a world apart, silent, air thick with damp, the only light a flicker from a distant torch. Here, the fortress was more than a shield. It was a cage. Prisoners, many nameless, some of noble blood, endured months or even years in these cramped cells. Their stories linger in the scratchings left on the walls, faded marks, prayers, and desperate tallies etched into the rock. Each line is a silent witness to hope and despair, to days counted and forgotten. In the 13600s, the world above shifted. King Charles V, known as Charles the Wise, saw the fortress as more than a bulwark. He summoned architect Raymond du Temple to transform the grim stronghold into a royal seat worthy of a new era. Windows opened to the sun, turrets rose with carved stonework, and gardens softened the edges of war. In the northwest tower, Charles founded the first royal library, amassing over 900 manuscripts, a treasure of knowledge rising directly above the darkness below. Yet the dungeon doors never closed. While courtiers feasted in gilded halls, the cells beneath still held those who threatened the crown. Among them, an English knight, captured in battle, his ransom set so high that his family despaired of ever seeing him free. Letters smuggled out hint at decades spent in shadow, his fate tied to the slow dance of gold and diplomacy between warring kingdoms. The contrast was absolute. Above, the king's scholars pored over illuminated texts. Below, prisoners traced their own stories into stone, their voices muffled by layers of earth and power. The Louvre's foundations held both the weight of royal ambition and the silent suffering of those it buried alive. In 1546, the hammer blows of Francis I's demolition crews echoed through the heart of Paris. The king's vision for a Renaissance palace demanded the destruction of the old fortress above, yet the dungeons and sublevels remained untouched, buried but not erased. Pierre Lescaut's blueprints, drafted for a new era of art and light, still trace their lines atop the shadows of the past. The foundations, thick with centuries of secrets, became the invisible base for royal grandeur. Some whispered that the decision to preserve these depths was more than practical. Rumors swirled of hidden vaults and forbidden corridors, winding from the ancient keep to the palace's new wings. No official records confirmed these passages, yet tales of clandestine movement haunted the halls, especially during the reign of Catherine de Medici. In the 1560s, as religious wars tore France apart, her court became a web of intrigue. It was said she could vanish from her chambers and reappear where no servant dared follow, a legend fueled by her Italian heritage and the palace's shifting walls. The air thickened with suspicion. Some claimed that beneath the Renaissance floors, prisoners still languished in darkness, their names erased from the ledgers. Others insisted that the old moat, now filled and paved over, concealed more than rubble, perhaps the remains of failed escapes, or secrets the crown could not afford to surface. The Knights Templar, whose treasure once passed through royal hands, became part of the Louvre's mythos, though no evidence ever tied their fate to these stones. Still, the notion of lost relics and hidden gold lingered in the public imagination. By 1661, the palace's dual nature was impossible to ignore. Nicolas Fouquet, Louis XIV's dazzling finance minister, was arrested at the height of his power. For a single night, he found himself not in a dungeon, but in a lavish chamber above the old prison, guarded by musketeers, uncertain if he was guest or captive. Fouquet's brief stay became a symbol. Opulence, masking confinement, power shadowed by fear. In the corridors, gossip spread of masked prisoners, whose names were never spoken. The story of the man in the iron mask, though never proven to pass through the Louvre, added to the sense that the palace's walls could hide any secret. In these years, the Louvre was more than a seat of kings. It was a labyrinth of ambition, betrayal, and silence, where every stone might conceal a forbidden face, and every locked door might open to another mystery. In August 1789, during the Revolution, crowds surged through the palace gates, the old order collapsing in the echo of distant cannon fire. The Louvre, once a fortress against foreign armies, and later a symbol of royal might, became a holding ground for those who had lived their lives above its marble floors. Revolutionary guards led aristocrats through gilded corridors, now stripped of ceremony, their titles and fortunes powerless against the new tribunal's demands. Some were held only hours before transfer to the conciergerie or the temple. But the irony lingered. The very rooms designed for kings now sheltered their captives. Royal apartments, once the stage for opulent masquerades, became cells for the condemned. Names faded from the ledgers, but the sense of reversal, palace turned prison, haunted every stone. Centuries later, in 1984, another invasion swept the Louvre. This time, the attackers wielded trowels and brushes, not muskets. Archaeologists descended beneath the Cour Carrée, following blueprints and rumors of what lay hidden below. Layers of earth peeled back to reveal the fortress's ancient bones. Massive limestone blocks, the curve of the original moat, and the battered foundation of the Grosse Tour. Every discovery was a revelation, each artifact a whisper from the past. Fragments of pottery and rusted tools surfaced alongside the remains of medieval walls. In dark recesses, faint inscriptions, scratched names, tally marks, prayers, hinted at lives spent in confinement. Today, visitors can walk these corridors, their footsteps tracing the outlines of vanished cells. The medieval exhibit in the Louvre's basement displays these foundations, silent witnesses to centuries of ambition and suffering. The stones themselves have outlasted kings, prisoners, and revolutionaries alike. What was once buried in shadow now stands in the light, proof that even the deepest secrets of the Louvre cannot remain hidden forever. Beneath every masterpiece, the Louvre still guards its shadows, visible in ancient stones, silent in hidden corridors. Today, millions admire its art, but its walls remember centuries of power and captivity. The past is never fully buried, and every step inside echoes with secrets time refuses to erase.